Hi, I'm Howard Berg, and today's webinar is the secrets for business success. What you want in your business is to have income coming in 24 hours a day and give yourself a global footprint, even if you're a locally based business. This additional income can also become a primary income or can add to an existing income and ultimately give you more free time to do things you'd like to be doing. You want to become the authority in your niche, and programs and books create this prestige that translates you into an authority figure. You gain recognition as the authority in your niche. Now, many professionals will actually give away books and ebooks, and even programs, to target themselves as the expert. These are even people who have brick and mortar companies using their products and their ebooks and books to create name recognition as an authority. Let me give an example. I work with a dentist. He's a friend of mine and he needs some help doing some of his online marketing, and I agreed to give him some help. He's been very nice to me and my family. I said, what about creating an ebook or a program about the hidden health dangers of not having your teeth cleaned regularly? And most people don't know that the bacteria in your teeth account for a high percentage of miscarriages. That's right. Right now there's a 25% miscarriage rate among women who are pregnant. And a large percentage of that is caused by bacteria in your teeth. The bacteria trigger an autoimmune response, which winds up in the body rejecting the pregnancy. Well, how about a large percentage of people become diabetic or have heart disease because of the bacteria in their teeth causing inflammation and other problems? That's a fact. Most people don't know. So he writes this ebook. Now people read this book and they suddenly realize, hey, I really do have to have my teeth cleaned. It's not just so I have a pretty smile, but it can make the difference between life and death. Now they get this book for free. It's an ebook. And then they purchase his recurring cleanings at $150 a pop because his ebook made him an expert. And then they get interviews with him on shows. If you're the person who wrote the book on how bacteria are causing a high rate of miscarriages and escalation in diabetes and heart disease, and you had a television show and you wanted to interview someone, who would you want to interview? The person who wrote the book. And so this is just an example of one niche. It's true in all niches. I mean, even look at me. I've been on about 1,100 shows. But why? Because I'm an expert in my field. So I've written books and I've created products. People want to interview people who've done those things. And the more you do that, the more likely it is they'll interview you and not your competition. Now, before you create anything, the first thing you need to do is figure out, anyone interested in my idea? You don't want to create something no one's interested in purchasing or reading, even if it's free. And once you find your profitable product or book idea, you can start writing copy. So how do you find the perfect product or idea? So you're giving people what they want, because it's much easier to sell products to people or get people to sign up for your free book if they have an interest in your topic. Good example of this business model comes from Conrad Vanderbilt, arguably one of the first super barons of all time in our country. Vanderbilt never wanted to be first at anything. Never. First, he wanted to find a niche that was making money. Then he'd create a better product or give a better offer. And he was one of the wealthiest men of his time. He was the wealthiest man of his time. I'll give an example. There was a ferry that started up between Staten Island and Manhattan in New York long before there were any bridges. In fact, there still isn't a bridge between Manhattan and Staten Island. And they made a lot of money. So Vanderbilt looked at that and says, oh, there's a market for ferry service. between Staten Island and Manhattan. I'm a really rich guy. I could afford to sell this service for below cost until my competition is out of business because they can't compete. And that's what he did. He actually charged less than it cost to bring people into Manhattan for 2 years. And the person who was doing it couldn't compete, went bankrupt, shut down, and then Vanderbilt had the only service, and he pushed his price up way past where it was originally. Now, today you couldn't do that. There are antitrust laws. But back in Vanderbilt's time, this was a legal business strategy. And I don't think it's very ethical, but it was legal back in his time, and he made a lot of money doing it. So I'm not suggesting you follow his model, but you follow his strategy, which was don't be first. Find something that's already working, and instead of trying to put them out of business by doing something unethical, make a better product or give them a better offer. One thing you don't want to do is ever be the one that's offering the lowest price. Because all someone has to do to beat you then is charge $1 less. And now you're not the lowest anymore. Even Walmart, which is famous for its low prices, is struggling to compete with Amazon, which doesn't have the overhead and expense of a Walmart. And so if all you have to bring people into your door is I have the cheapest product, you have a problem. Look at Jaguar. Actually Ferrari. Ferrari. I went to a Ferrari dealer. You know you can't buy a new Ferrari? If you go to a Ferrari dealer, they'll offer you a used Ferrari for the same cost as a new one because they don't depreciate. And if you buy a new Ferrari, it's about $250,000, and you buy a couple more new Ferraris, eventually you'll get on a list where they'll let you know when there's a new Ferrari coming in, so you don't longer have to keep buying used ones. I was there when a gentleman bought a special edition Ferrari. They make 100 of these. It was $1.5 million. The day he rode the car off the floor, he was offered $3 million, but he wouldn't sell it because Ferrari says you have to sell the car back to us. And unless we say no, you can't sell your car to anyone else. And they completely control their market. And look at how much they're making on a car. It's a good model. They've got a brand. Are they worried about price? Are they trying to be the cheapest car in the market? I don't think $1.5 million car is the cheapest car in the market. And their cheap car is $250,000. But they're making a ton of money because they have the best. And you want to be the best rather than the cheapest. You want to find the perfect product tools. I'm showing you 5. I'm only going to demonstrate 1 because we don't have unlimited time. I do cover everything in my full program on how to make unlimited products and services. But we're going to focus on Google for today. But you can also use Alexa, Market Samurai, Facebook, and Amazon to do research, like the type of research I'm going to show you in a moment. You go on Google and you search potential products on Google. What you want to know is how many people are searching for that product. You want a product that has high interest and doesn't have so many competitions that so many competitors you can't compete. You want to make sure there are enough people searching on the idea before you create it. So you're going to position yourself with something people are already looking for instead of they never heard of it and don't even know it exists, so why would they even try to find it? Let me give you a good example of someone who's done this very successfully. Good friend of mine, Russell Brunson. Russell's one of the top internet salespeople in the world. And he told me his story of how he started. He created a potato gun. You say, what's a potato gun? It's made out of PVC pipe. And you shove a potato in. And you put a fuel inside of it, and when you use an igniter, like the kind of igniter you see on a grill, the spark ignites the fuel and shoots the potato in the air. Yes, there's a lot of people interested in it. That's the point. He found a niche where there was almost 500,000 people interested in potato guns. They had clubs. and they were meeting on Facebook. But there was never a product on how to make a potato gun. They had to figure it out themselves. So here you got 500,000 people interested in something that there's nothing there they can use. He wasn't necessarily, yes, he was first, but he was first in a niche that already existed and had an audience. And what he did is he did a survey. And he said to these people, I'm going to write a program on how to make the perfect potato gun. What would you like to see me cover? And immediately people started responding on what it is they wanted to see. What was he doing? He created his list of potential customers. He took their ideas. He then, when he completed his book, which included the solutions to the problems they wanted solutions to, he sent them all emails saying, I've written the book, and the problem you have is in the book. I solved it. And thank you for helping me. I got a special discount to thank you. And he sold a ton of books on how to make a potato gun. Brilliant. He's a brilliant man. He's one of the smartest young people I've ever met. You definitely want to Google his name, Russell Brunson. He's a wonderful person. He's a good friend and just amazing marketer. Most amazing marketer I've ever met. Now, here's how you can use Google to pick the right product. You're going to write a phrase or a word that you're searching for. And at the bottom of the search are phrases people are using to find your item. Now, these keywords are golden. They tell you what people are doing to find your product. And you can reverse engineer to make sure that they find it. Let me show you. I'm going to go inside of my program. I'm going to put in writing. Actually, I'll put writer's block. Put in an apostrophe. Writer's block. Okay. So, it's showing me how to overcome writer's block, 14 tricks that work, writer's block, Wikipedia. There's a whole bunch of things here. But here's what I'm looking for. On the bottom, right here. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see it. Do you see searches related to writer's block? Lots of people looked for writer's block, but they also looked to how to overcome writer's block app, writer's block cure, writer's block help, writer's block quotes, writer's block definition, writer's blog. So when you look at writer's block, there was 6,930,000 results. That's pages on the web related to writer's block. What does it tell you? It's a subject people are interested in. But on the bottom, these are different ways people looked for writer's block. I'm going to click on how to overcome writer's block, and now I have a new search. This one had 615,000. The other one had 6 million. This will be an easier one to compete on. And it's something that a lot of people are using to find information out about writer's block. And again, if I go on the bottom, writer's block cure, writer's block help, some of the things are the same, but there are some new ones. And if I click on one of those, I get another search. This one has 473,000 results. And on the bottom, here are some more words I can use. These words are gold, and I'm going to show you how to use them in your product and in your marketing. You're going to want to write articles and videos and things that draw people to your website. Google sends a search. It's called a web crawler. It goes all over the web. And it's looking at what keywords and phrases are and what's on your website. So if your website is using the terms, they're called long tail terms. The terms that are on the bottom of the page over here, these are called long tail terms. So let's say I wrote 10 ways to overcome writer's block. 3 strategies on how to overcome writer's block. Let's go back to the original writer's block over here. We'll go back one. All the way to the top. Right, and writer's block. the writer's block help that you definitely want. Okay. And so what I can do now is I can write different things using the word writer's block. So you create articles and videos using those terms. Why? Because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for what that returned to you. The words it showed you are the things people actually placed in their Google search bar. If you're putting the words on your product and your keywords when you make your articles and videos and audios, and it's exactly the ones people are looking for, Google will find that out. It'll find that on your website there's 50 articles and all these very important terms people are using to find out about writer's block are on different articles and videos on your blog or on your web page. That'll get you a high Google rating, because what Google looks for are pages that have the kind of information people are looking for. Well, the fact that you have the kind of information you're looking for means that they'll give you a higher ranking, so more people will find you. It gets you more free traffic. People will be looking for your product because they're using the words that you gave them. They'll more easily find your site. And here's a big one. Google AdWords is a great way to get people to show up on your website. I'll show you how that works. If we go back to our search, on the very top, I'm just going to put, let's see, I'll put it speed reading so you can see. On the very top up here, these are people who paid to have Google sell their page. They're paying Google AdWords, and Google AdWords is putting them where people will find it, and they charge you. Well, the more value your page has that people are going to, not just commercial value, but true value, the lower the cost for the ads. So the cost could be so much less that you could afford to put a lot more ads on and get a lot more traffic. The other thing you want to do with those keywords, and this is really important, I always see people making products or programs, and they come up with titles. Oh, this is a catchy title. No, you don't come up with titles. You look at the words people are searching for on Google, and you put those words in your title, such as the best, here's the word, writer's block cure. That was one of the key phrases that we saw. So one article is the best writer's block cure. The next article, writer's block help. That was another search term you need to be using. Looking for writer's block cure? If you're the kind of person who wants writer's block help, you need to read this article or watch this video. Yes, there really is a writer's block cure that works. Your search for writer's block help is finally over. Notice the bolded words come directly off of the long tail search terms that are on the bottom of the page for writer's block. And as I build up my articles and videos, 100, 200, 300, Google starts to see not just these articles, the web crawler actually looks at the articles. And the articles are also high value. And I'll show you how to do that on another webinar. And as a result, your website is seen as a place people need to go looking for writer's block solutions. And that's what you want. If it's going to send people, it's going to get you more traffic. You could have a catchy title, but no one's looking for it. Nobody knows it's there. How do you think I got a book on Amazon to #1 the next day? I had a special title. The title was exactly what people were looking for speed reading. And because I had a catchy title that fit in exactly with what people were looking for, people found it. And when people find it, they buy it. So yes, you don't just write titles. You use these keywords everywhere, in your title and in your program as well. So when you're starting, the first thing you want to know is, what am I doing? What kind of product do I want to make? I create an outline and I write a sequence from the outline. So am I making a DVD? Am I doing a webinar? Is it going to be an audio video program? Do I want to write a book or a PDF? I'm going to recommend you stay away from books for a while. Start with a PDF if you're going to do it. If you're interested in doing a book, start with a PDF. It's a lot easier. You can do a PDF 30 to 40 pages. And my experience is you make more money with video, webinars, and audio video than you will with a book. Unless you're Stephen King or Jackie Collins or somebody who's become very famous writing books, most authors don't make a lot of money on their books. My book was like, I don't know, $10. My video bundle was $500. So how many $500 sales versus a $10 sale? How many more books do I have to sell to make one sale equivalent as a DVD? Can you see the difference? So it's very important. Now, PDFs are also very popular online as giveaways to get people's information. Once you know what you're creating, with a DVD, you want to do text, images, and animation. Actually, I'm right now in a PowerPoint. When I'm doing a PowerPoint for DVD, I have a lot more activity going on. Let me find one of my more active PowerPoints, just to show you what it looks like. Take a moment, it's downloading. And it should start in a second. One thing I'd be with computers is patient. They work at their own pace. They really don't care what you want. I have this on my my cloud, so it's downloading it. That's Mr. Q in the background. That's the Wonder Dog, Mr. Q. Okay, let's give it a moment. It's taking longer than I would like. So let me see if I can find another spot. Now it's freezing up my PowerPoint. Okay, close the program. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Okay, I gotta reopen my PowerPoint to where I was. This is part of what happens when you do a webinar. You don't worry about it. You just deal with it. You're gonna get aggravated over stuff like this. You don't belong in business. One thing you can be sure of in business is things are going to happen. And they're not always things that you want to see happen. Let me get back where I was. Let me find one more spot where I could open that. That won't take so long. Let me see. This will work. This is shorter. Okay, so if I'm going to do a slideshow in here, we can start it from over here. You can see there's a lot more going on in the slides. A lot of movement, a lot of activity, a lot of fades, a lot of special effects. And that's something that I like to do if I'm doing a DVD. Because when you're doing a DVD, it's going to capture that information. It's going to look great. If you're doing a webinar, all that special effects and movements and fades, it doesn't translate well. Usually the webinar system can't process the motion quickly enough, so it looks jerky. You're much better off with clean slides like the ones you're looking at right now when doing a webinar. But if I'm doing a DVD, I want to have text and images, and I want a lot of animation. If I'm doing a webinar, I want mostly text. Maybe a couple of pictures, but limited. Almost no animation because it doesn't replicate very well. Now you can also do automated webinars. Right now I'm taping this. It's live. But once I've taped a live event, it looks live because it was live when I taped it. And there's programs that do evergreen webinars where you put the video of the live webinar and it looks live when people come to see it. One of my friends has a referral partner program, an affiliate program, and he has a thing on his website. I'm doing a live program every day at 4 o'clock to tell you all the benefits of becoming an affiliate. We did the program live once, and every day people come to see this live program that's a recording of the live program he did. And it's so good that if someone has a question, it will send an email to his phone and tell him that he has a question. He has a question, and he can answer it. So that's Evergreen software. Very, very powerful. In fact, what I'm doing right now will end up as an Evergreen program. Audio program. You want to have an activity book. Make sure they print out the book first and then reference the pages. What's your activity book? It's your PowerPoints. If you do it as a DVD and you have all these pictures, you take your PowerPoints, you turn them into a activity book. Now, when you're doing an audio program, they don't see the slides. The slides are in the activity book. So you number the pages, and you want to do this before you record. And what you would do, this is a big difference between doing a DVD and doing an audio program with an activity book. On a DVD, they see the page. It's on the screen. When I'm doing it in an audio program, I say, now turn to page 5 in your activity book. Here you can see how to read faster. And so I'm literally telling them to look at this page that has the slide that they would have seen in the video. If you want to do a video and audio at the same time, print out the book, and you can have it on the screen for the video, but you could also say, and you can have the same activity book available for the video people, say, turn to page 5, turn to page 6, turn to page 7. So that way both groups, whether it's the audio or the video people, can use the same recording. I'll show you how later. With a book, you have text and images. Where are the images coming from? You got it, your PowerPoints. And your PDF is really the same thing as a book. I think of a book as a series of articles that are interrelated. So let's say I have 10 chapters, 30 pages a chapter. Each chapter is a PDF. Each chapter is a separate section. They could all tie together. So in 10 days, I can do 10 30-page PDFs, and I wrote my book. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. The main difference is with a PDF, the margins are different. You have to have special margins. And you have to check whether you're putting it on Amazon or doing it by yourself. Different places have different margin requirements, and you have to check that. Now I'm going to show you to get your writing started. First thing you want to do is write down your purpose at the top of the screen. This is a left brain activity. It's very specific. And you're going to write down a list of what you want to cover. And then you're going to stop, look at your list, and use your right brain to come up with ideas that you're going to write about. So you use your left brain to create the topic and your right brain to put the ideas that are going to be written about each topic. The important thing here is no criticism. You might find a duplicate. That's okay. You'll cross it out later. The act of crossing out is an editing act. As soon as you start editing, you'll shut off your creativity. So while you're in flow and your ideas are flowing, even if you have repeats, even if they're multiple repeats, you keep writing them down. Even if you decide later the thing you wrote is useless, write it down anyway. Write everything that's coming out and then delete the stuff you don't need afterwards. Keep your ideas flowing. Let me give you an example from my writing program. Question I ask people is, you just won the lottery. What will you buy? Make a list of what you would do with your newfound wealth. And this is a list I've done many times in live seminars. And here's the list I usually will see. Take a trip, buy a house, pay the bills, pay loans, invest it, go to Europe, go to London, go to England, give it to a church. I've seen all of these things. And if there's a large enough group, most of these things pop up. I mean, I'd always see go to London or England. It might be Spain, it might be Australia, it might be someplace else, but it's something about taking a trip or a vacation. Now notice what we have here is a list. Now what the next thing I do is I organize this list. This is my ideas that I'm going to use with the money. And some of these things kind of nest together. Taking a trip, well, I could say go to Europe, that's the big idea. Go to England, that's a place in Europe. And go to London, that's a place in England. So that's a group. Pay the bills can include paying loans, because paying loans is part of paying bills. That's a group. Invest it, maybe buy a house could come under that. Donations, that's another group. And so I'm making up my groups and my subtopics. That's how I start my book. And now I write my information down and I begin writing. Remember, it's okay to repeat yourself. Let your ideas flow freely, because criticism creates writer's block. Another thing you want to do when you're writing is imagine your audience is sitting in front of you. You're actually performing your program. I find it's helpful if you have the option of doing your program live a few times in front of an audience and watch people's reactions. When they're tuning out, you know that you're boring them. When they're riveted and excited, you got some good information. So be very careful and watch what people's reactions are and adjust what you do based on those reactions. And make changes based on those reactions. There's also 3 focuses I have. Who's going to read my work and what do they like? What do I want to say to those people and how do I want to say it? I look at things like the age. The way I teach reading to a 3rd grade class is very different to people who have doctorates. What's their experience with the subject? What kind of vocabulary do they have? I'm going to be speaking in Bangkok. People there do speak English, but it's not the same as being with someone that's their native tongue. So I have to choose words that are more likely to be familiar and recognized and understood, to be respectful, so that they understand it. Speak slowly and clearly, and give good examples, like I'm doing today. I've shown you several examples to let you see what I'm doing more clearly. Another thing you'll notice I do is at the end of each slide I pause, and there's a reason for it, and you'll see why in a moment. Now it's important to always know what's the goal of your work. Maybe you want to sell something, make money. Maybe you want to get prestige, recognition. It could be both. But here's what's important. Always start with your offer first. Make sure you have a call to action inside of your program or your ebook or whatever you make for the next step. The next step could be a free consultation. Next step could be a paying item. Whatever it is, the first thing you do before you write any slides, before you do anything, is what is it you want to see happen. You begin with the end in mind. One of the 7 habits of highly effective people, begin with the end in mind. And everything you do throughout your presentation is geared towards getting people to make the decision at the end that you want them to make as a result of learning and understanding what you're showing them. Now, the way to make your program super fast is to use a product called Camtasia. Some of you may know it, some of you may not. Camtasia is being used right now. It records your screen. It creates a video from your PowerPoint. Here it is right now. You can see that it's ticking off the time. When it's done, it'll go into this canvas. This is where I can view my video over here. This is the timeline where I can do my edits. Here's where I put my video clips. Camtasia is the secret to making any program or product super fast. Now you can get Camtasia for free for a month on the Camtasia I think it's TechSmith, but you could Google Camtasia. They give a 1-month trial. I believe it's $297 for a licensed version. Well worth it. Well worth it. I use it almost every day. Another thing that's important is to pick a good microphone. I'm using a Yeti microphone. You can go on Amazon.com and get it for less than $100. The Yeti microphone is digital and it's very high quality. Many people, when they're recording, are using analog microphones. Well, the problem is you're making a digital product. So your computer has to convert your analog signal into digital, which uses up bandwidth and slows your computer down. And especially on some older computers, it can affect the quality of your video or your recording. Yeti microphones eliminate that problem and do an outstanding job of making great recordings. They have different settings. Right now it's set to just be pointing at me and just recording me, and that's one setting. Another setting, it's sort of like a Larry King setting. There's two people sitting on opposite sides of the microphone. One is the interview and one is the interviewee. Then there's a semicircle, sort of like for a little group of rock people playing their instruments. Or a whole circle. It could be a whole entire orchestra and hearing the audience. So it gives you a lot of great choices, and I highly recommend the Yeti microphone. Now, Camtasia records your screen much like you see when you go to a live program. People have a projector and it shines on a screen what's on the screen of the computer. What's on the screen of the computer is being captured by Camtasia and it becomes a video. And before you record, you want to go inside and go into your modify, and you're looking for the different settings. I don't want to go into settings right now on this because I'm in the middle of it. There's tools and settings, and it's very, very important to make sure you have the right microphone. I have a webcam with a microphone and I have a Yeti. I wanted to use my webcam microphone, not my Yeti mic, not the Yeti, not the webcam. Maybe you have a laptop and it has a built-in mic, but you want to use your Yeti, so you have to go to the inputs and see what it's using. It also has hotkeys for stopping and pausing. You might want to pause because there's noise outside, like an airplane is flying overhead. And you could stop to take a break and then come back and continue where you stopped. So I'm going to show you. Oh, you could also select the area. So right now I'm recording this entire screen, everything. But maybe I only want a little spot on the screen to record. So you can customize it or record the whole thing. Now, what's important is there is an add-in for PowerPoint. I don't use it. The reason is when you use the PowerPoint add-in and you stop, it starts you on slide number 1. That's not a problem if you have 10 slides. When you have 300 or 400 slides and you stop and you have to fast forward to slide 400, it's going to take you some time. And that doesn't happen when you use the record button here. And that still records your PowerPoint, but now if I take a break and start, I could go to the exact slide where I want to begin, and I don't have to slide through all the other slides to get there. So that's very important. I don't like to use the slideshow. You also want to test. Before I did this, I recorded for 15 seconds. I played it back. I want to make sure it's recording my voice and the mic is working. What if I forgot to unmute it and I did what I'm doing now for an hour? I would have just wasted an entire hour. I don't want to waste an entire hour. So I check my mic, I check my recorder, I make sure it's working. After I've done no more than 30 seconds and I know it's working, I can continue doing what I'm doing with the whole program. I'm going to show you a way you can make a product. I'm just going to do a couple of slides. Imagine I'm doing a program on how to overcome writer's block, the theme we've had earlier. This is the first slide. The creative process, getting into and sustaining the creative flow, is mission critical. Pause. What causes writer's block? Speech is the natural output for thinking. Pause. Writing uses the hands to output information and not your mouth. So starting writing is challenging because you have to switch from using your mouth to using your hands to express what you're thinking. But once you get started, sustaining the flow is much easier. It's evidenced by it's easy to continue once you get started. You could talk on the phone, you could watch television. Getting started was hard, keeping it going was easy. Another cause is a conflict between the left hemisphere of your brain, which is your editor, and the right hemisphere, which is your creative. When you try to write and edit at the same time, you end up getting writer's block. Has this ever happened to you? You write 10 lines, you look at it, say, not good enough, hit delete. Write 10 more lines, not good enough. Hours go by, nothing's done. Solution simple. Don't write and edit at the same time. And that's a product. And then I stop, I edit it, and I just made a program on how to overcome writer's block. Again, I emphasize pausing between the slides. Pausing makes editing easier. When you're looking at the timeline where there's silence, the audio signal goes flat. And that's a great place to make a cut or to edit or to change something. You don't want to edit in the middle of a word or a sentence. It's very sloppy. The pauses make it easier. The worst case is I can go back to the last slide where I paused before this one and do that slide over again. So it's pretty easy to edit. I do my edits while I'm recording. As soon as I make a mistake, I stop. I put it on the screen. I chop off the part that I made incorrect. I usually go to this pause before that slide, with the slide before it ended. I go back to that slide and begin talking at the end and say, now let's look at the next slide. Next slide comes and I re-record it. Now you can produce and share it, and this is really important because this is where a lot of the opportunities come. If you want to make a DVD, you record it as an AVI. And if you want to make a disc, you can use a program called AVS4U. It's a very inexpensive product, and it's something everyone should use that's doing any kind of product creation. It has video, audio, and image file editors that are outstanding, very inexpensive, and indispensable. For example, there's a converter. I can convert any format to any other format. My Camtasia program loves to edit programs recorded as AVI. Well, let's say the program I have is an MP4. Let's say, well, actually say it's an MPEG. It doesn't like MPEG. Camtasia will not work with MPEG. What do? I go to AVS4U. I convert my MPEG to an AVI, and now I can use it. So it's a very, very useful program. It's an addition to Camtasia, and I highly recommend that you use it. You can also make a webinar. Webinars are best made in MP4. MP4s are used by Mac and Windows programs equally well, and MP4 is the preferred mode of program, video program online. I've also made a lot of my videos not as AVIs but as MP4s. It's fine. AVI is a higher quality, but it takes up a lot of room on a disc. MP4 you can fit a lot more video, and it looks good. It's not 4K good, okay, but it's good. Evergreens Evergreen Webinars also MP4. Now, here's something you want to do. I'm going to go in here. This is my Camtasia, where it says share. I don't use any of these. I use the custom. And here's why. When you use custom, you can save it in there a whole lot of different formats. So we don't want to, I could save it as an AVI, I could save it as an MP4, I could save it as an MP3. Here's where it gets interesting. If I want to write a book, I take my video that I recorded and I save it as an MP3. Now I have my audio program and the PowerPoints on my activity book. You take the audio recording and you send it to someone on Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and you have them transcribe it. And the transcription of your audio is the first draft of your ebook. And you clean it up, make it a little nicer, use the pictures from your PowerPoints, and you just completed your ebook. That's how I wrote a book in 5 hours. I recorded it, I transcribed it, and I put it into an ebook format. Very easy to do. And if you're writing a big book, you could do that every day with a chapter and write a book in 10 days. Now, I wanted you to know I have a monthly mastermind with programs just like you just saw each month. It's a place for your business questions to get answers. I've read over 30,000 books. There's a good chance there's a problem you have, I know the solution and can share it with you. Each month, I'm going to give you a lesson on something that will help you expand your business success, something you've never heard of or might take you so much time to learn on your own that it's easier to have me learn it for you and teach it to you in an hour. So there'll be 2 things happening in each mastermind. You can ask me questions, and I'll also teach you a lesson. And if you would like to join the mastermind, it's just $47 a month. You go to FromHoward.com/mastermind. That's FromHoward.com/mastermind. Each month you'll get a riveting lesson and the chance for your questions to be answered. You'll interact with other people like you who have businesses. And if any reason you decide that you're done, you're going to get an email 10 days before your bill telling you that your bill is coming. All you have to do is click on a link and it shuts it off. End of it. Easy to close. And most people don't close it because they see the value of what they're getting and want to continue to receive that value. So it's FromHoward.com/mastermind. Please share this with your friends. Let's get a community together of entrepreneurs who are interested in being successful. I'm just launching it now. Years ago, I had a mastermind and we had a couple of 100 members, and I went in a different direction. I had other things I had to do. I'm ready now to get focused on building my mastermind, and I would love for you to become a member and the people you know. So go to FromHoward.com/mastermind and learn skills like the ones you just learned each month to make yourself more productive and more successful. You can go there right now. This is Howard Berg, the world's fastest reader. I want to thank you for coming. I want to wish you and yours the best of success. Go to FromHoward.com/mastermind, and I'll see you in the next mastermind. Thank you so much for coming.